The United States Ford-class aircraft carrier strike group arrived near Israel for the first time since the outbreak of the Middle East conflict. On October 19, the Ford-class aircraft carrier strike group opened fire for the first time, successfully intercepting 3 cruise missiles and multiple drones launched by Houthi rebels in Yemen. A spokesperson for the U.S. Department of Defense stated that the U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Carney, intercepted 3 ground attack cruise missiles and several drones launched by the Houthi rebels in the northern Red Sea. General Lade said to reporters that these missiles may have been aimed at Israel, but the U.S. military does not believe that these missiles, which were shot down over the water, were targeting U.S. warships. After reading this news, there are 2 key questions that may come to mind. First, the Ford-class aircraft carrier strike group was deployed in the Mediterranean, so how did it end up in the northern Red Sea? Second, how did Houthi rebels in Yemen possess weapons capable of reaching Israel, spanning the entire Red Sea, covering a distance of 1,100 miles or 1,800 kilometers? The Ford-class aircraft carrier strike group was deployed in the Mediterranean back in May primarily in response to the Ukraine crisis and as a deterrent against Russia. This strike group includes the renowned Ford-class aircraft carrier, as well as 5 Aegis-class ships, including the Ticonderoga-class cruiser USS Normandy and 4 Arleigh Burke-class missile destroyers, including the USS Roosevelt and USS Carney. The Ford-class aircraft carrier strike group promptly arrived in the eastern Mediterranean after the Israel-Palestine conflict erupted. Simultaneously, the U.S. had 2,400 Marine Corps servicemen conducting exercises in Kuwait, mainly as a deterrent against Iran. Following the Israel-Palestine conflict, these 2,400 Marine Corps servicemen and 3 landing ships immediately set sail from Kuwait to Israel. This fleet consists of 3 ships, the USS Bataan amphibious assault ship, the USS Carter Hall amphibious landing ship, and a San Antonio-class amphibious dock landing ship. These 3 transport and landing ships lack regional air defense capabilities and are equipped with only short-range air defense weapons, such as the Carter Hall's 2 Ram launchers and 2 Sea Sparrow short-range air defense missiles. The San Antonio-class air defense system is similar, and the Bataan, belonging to the U.S. Wasp class, is the largest of the 3, with a displacement of up to 40,000 tons. Its air defense weapon system includes 2 Sea Sparrows, 2 Sea Rams, and 3 CIWS systems. In other words, these 3 ships are loaded with over 2,000 U.S. Marine Corps servicemen and a significant amount of heavy equipment but lack substantial regional air defense capabilities. Based on available intelligence, these 3 ships left Kuwait on October 9 and entered the Arabian Sea on October 16, with an expected arrival in the northern Red Sea on October 21 to 22. The U.S. has a history of Houthi rebel anti-ship missile attacks in the Red Sea, so to provide protection for these 3 landing ships, the Ford-class aircraft carrier strike group dispatched the USS Carney destroyer ahead to the northern Red Sea to escort the 3 transport ships. It was after the arrival of the Carney in the Red Sea that the incident involving the interception of Houthi rebel-launched missiles occurred. According to the U.S. assessment, these 3 missiles were ground-attack cruise missiles, not intended to target the U.S. fleet. They were discovered en route to Israel by a U.S. Aegis destroyer and intercepted using Standard Missile-2 (SM-2) missiles. The SM-2 missile is an American medium-range surface-to-air missile that has been in service since 1967, with multiple updated versions. The latest version, the SM-2 Block 3C, uses active radar homing for terminal guidance and has a range of up to 90 nautical miles, or approximately 160 kilometers. In fact, as early as 2016, the U.S. destroyer USS Mason came under attack from Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. At that time, the rebels launched 2 anti-ship missiles supplied by Iran. The Mason fired 2 SM-2 missiles and 1 evolved Sea Sparrow missile, ESSM, to intercept the missiles. In addition, the Mason deployed a missile decoy system. 1 anti-ship missile was intercepted, and the other was disrupted and fell into the sea. These 2 anti-ship missiles from Yemen are actually Iran's copies of the C-802 anti-ship missile, a subsonic cruise missile. It's interesting to note that Iran imported the C-802 missile from China and developed its domestic version. The C-802 missile is a Chinese export version of the YJ-83 anti-ship missile. In the 1990s, China had a policy allowing its military to engage in business activities, and much of its military-industrial production was export-oriented during that time. They aimed to export their weapon systems to earn foreign currency. For example, China produced the C-802 based on its own version of the French Exocet missile, which was called the Ing-7. This missile was exported to Iran and Iraq. The Type 59 main battle tank was also widely exported to the Middle East. The development of the C-802 missile predated the YJ-83, and it was on the basis of the C-802 that the YJ-83 missile was developed. The missile uses a turbojet engine, has a warhead of 165 kilograms, a range of 180 kilometers, a speed of approximately 0.9 Mach, and employs inertial and active radar guidance for terminal homing. Iran later imported the C-802 missile from China and reverse-engineered it to create the domestically produced Noor anti-ship missile. This missile was subsequently exported to Iran's regional allies, including the Houthi rebels in Yemen and Hezbollah in Lebanon. In 2016, the Houthi rebels used this anti-ship missile to attack the USS Mason destroyer. It's worth noting that the Noor anti-ship missile has a relatively short range of only 200 kilometers, making it unlikely to be the primary missile used in this recent attack. So, the question remains, what kind of missiles does Iran have to offer the Houthi rebels with the range to reach Israel across the Red Sea, spanning 1,100 miles or 1,800 kilometers? I found a report from SIZE in 2021 that carefully analyzes Iran's various types of missiles, ranging from 300 kilometers to 2,000 kilometers in range. Missiles with longer ranges are typically ballistic missiles, but the trajectories of ballistic missiles and cruise missiles are vastly different. Ballistic missiles follow a parabolic trajectory, whereas cruise missiles typically fly at altitudes of several tens of meters above the ground. U.S. radar detection would not likely confuse the two. According to U.S. intelligence analysis, this is a cruise missile. The only type of cruise missile that fits the description of a long-range cruise missile with a range of 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers is Iran's newly developed SOMAR cruise missile. In February 2019, Iran showcased a new type of cruise missile. Iran's defense minister stated that the ground-to-ground missile was test-fired that day and hit the target after flying 1,200 kilometers. This missile is part of the SOMAR cruise missile series. As early as March 8, 2015, the SOMAR missile was first unveiled, and it is reported that this missile has a range of up to 2,000 kilometers. So how did Iran develop this missile? Surprisingly, its origins can be traced back to Ukraine. In 2005, Ukraine officially admitted that as early as 2001, 12 Soviet-era Kh-55 missiles were illegally sold to Iran. The Kh-55 is a subsonic air-launched cruise missile developed in the 1970s with a range of up to 2,500 kilometers and the capability to carry nuclear warheads. After obtaining this batch of Kh-55 missiles, Iran reverse-engineered them, possibly with Russian technical support, and eventually developed its own version of long-range cruise missiles, the SOMAR cruise missile series. In recent years, Houthi rebels have showcased multiple long-range cruise missiles during their parades, including the Samad-1, Samad-2, Samad-3, and Samad-4. Although these missiles have different names than those used by Iran, they are essentially Iran's SOMAR cruise missiles provided to the Houthi rebels. Several conclusions can be drawn from the missile interception incident. First, Iran does have cruise missiles with a range of up to 2,000 kilometers. Although we don't know their exact accuracy, their range appears to be substantial. It's worth noting that the accuracy of these cruise missiles is likely not as high as more advanced systems, and during the recent Ukraine conflict, some of Russia's cruise missiles had a circular error probable, CEP, of over 30 meters. Second, the significant Hamas attack on Israel was orchestrated by Iran. In the Middle East, Syria, Houthi rebels in Yemen, and Hezbollah in Lebanon are all influenced by Iran. On the day Hamas launched its attack on Israel, there were rumors that Hezbollah might attempt to encircle Israel from the north. Iran may have had such a plan in place, but due to the vast military disparity, Hezbollah didn't follow through as originally intended. Third, the U.S. directly engaged in the Middle East conflict for the first time with the interception of cruise missiles. This action sends a clear message to Iran: the U.S. has the capability to intercept ballistic and cruise missiles if Iran, the Houthi rebels in Yemen, or Hezbollah in southern Lebanon were to launch missile attacks against Israel. This is a direct warning to Iran not to escalate the situation in the Middle East. Currently, the U.S. has a carrier strike group near Israel, including a missile cruiser and 4 missile destroyers. Additionally, the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group is expected to arrive near Israel. In the vicinity of Israel, the U.S. has at least 8 Aegis-class ships. These Aegis ships are equipped with various interception missiles, including the Standard Missile-3, SM-3, which can intercept intercontinental and medium-range ballistic missiles with a range of up to 2,000 kilometers. In essence, if Iran were to launch ballistic missiles toward Israel from its own territory, the U.S. would have the capability to intercept them over Iraqi airspace. The SM-6, an advanced air defense missile with speeds of up to Mach 8, not only has the capability to intercept cruise missiles but can also intercept ballistic missiles. For regular cruise missiles, the SM-2 and the ESSM, Evolved Sea Sparrow missile, are sufficient. Even though Iran possesses a variety of long-range ballistic and cruise missiles, the U.S. only needs to deploy a carrier strike group to effectively neutralize Iran's long-range missile capabilities.